If you're reading this or listening, don't click away, because this might be the exact confirmation your spirit has been crying out for in the silence. Watch till the end, because what God is doing in this moment isn't just restoration. It's divine reversal. Everything they said, everything they did, every moment you were mistreated, mishandled, misjudged, and misunderstood, God is stepping in now to undo it all and replace it with healing that actually lasts. This is not just another word of encouragement. This is heaven opening the records of your pain and saying, it ends here. It ends now. And you are not going to carry this into your next season. Let's be honest, some of the wounds you carry didn't come from strangers. They came from people who were supposed to protect you. People who had access to your softness, your trust, your dreams. People who looked you in the eyes and told you they loved you while they tore you apart with silence, betrayal, manipulation, or abandonment. And somehow you kept going. You kept giving. You kept believing. But deep inside, something in you broke. Something collapsed under the weight of what they did to you. And you've been functioning, but you haven't been whole. You've been productive, but you haven't felt safe. You've been present, but not really free. And God says, that's what I'm healing. That's what I'm reversing. That's what I'm restoring. The damage may have been done in secret, but the miracle will be public. God is going into the memories you buried, into the years that feel stolen, into the self-worth that was silently shattered, and He is undoing the curse that came with every false word, every harsh rejection, every manipulative situation. Joel 2:25 says, I will restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten. That's not poetic, that's prophetic. God isn't just going to give you back time. He's going to give you peace in the time that remains. And the parts of you that were molded by trauma, the reactions, the overthinking, the fear of trusting again, the shrinking of your voice, those will not define you anymore. And maybe no one ever apologized. Maybe they never owned what they did. Maybe they pretended like nothing happened while you had to bleed in silence. But listen to me, God is your witness. And where there has been no earthly accountability, there will be heavenly justice, not to punish them, but to restore you, to cleanse your spirit of the residue of injustice, to untangle the knots they left in your soul, to reverse every lie they placed on your identity. The ones that said you're hard to love, you're too emotional, you deserved it, or you should have known better. You didn't deserve that, and you don't have to stay there. God is undoing the imprint of their damage and replacing it with His fingerprint. Psalm 147:3 says, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. But the beauty of God is not just in healing, it's in how He heals. Slowly, deeply, without blame, without shame. He doesn't rush you. He doesn't shame you for what you didn't know. He doesn't ask you to fake it. He doesn't expect you to be over it already. Instead, He invites you into a healing that is honest. One where you can say, that hurt me. One where you can admit, I haven't been okay. One where you can stop pretending and start releasing. Because the moment you release what they did, not to forget it, but to stop carrying it, is the moment God begins to restore what they tried to take. And here's the truth. You are not too damaged to be used by God. You are not too broken to love again. You are not too far gone to dream again. What they did does not disqualify what God still wants to do. In fact, it's part of your calling, because the pain they caused, it's going to turn into a platform for the healing of others. The rejection, you survived. It's going to become the oil that anoints someone else's restoration. The abandonment you overcame, it's going to awaken someone else's identity. But before God uses the pain, He's healing it from the inside out. And He's not asking you to do it alone. He's sitting with you in the very place they left you. So breathe, let your guard down for a moment. Let this word wrap around your soul like a bandage made of truth. Let the tears fall if they need to. Let your heart start to believe again. That maybe, just maybe, you aren't too far gone. Maybe you're just beginning. And maybe this pain was not a punishment, but a doorway into purpose. Because Romans 8:28 still holds true. And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are the called according to His purpose. That includes this pain, this betrayal, this season of confusion. It's not going to break you, it's going to build you. God is undoing what they did to you, not because you earned it, but because you are loved. You are His, you are seen, and what they broke, God is not just fixing, He's transforming. Your next chapter won't even look like what hurt you, because healing is coming, wholeness is coming, and it starts now. There is a version of you that was loud with light before they tried to dim you. A version of you that used to dream unapologetically, love without fear, speak without shrinking, hope without doubting. But over time, after enough, be quiet. After enough, you're too much. After enough rejections, betrayals, and shutdowns, that light started to flicker. And in order to survive, you taught yourself to suppress it. You made yourself smaller, more palatable, more acceptable, because you thought it would earn you love. You learned to apologize for your voice, your softness, your honesty. You became fluent in pretending, and somewhere along the way, the boldest parts of you went missing. But here is what the Lord is saying right now. I'm calling that version of you back to life, not the broken version, not the bent one, but the original you, the one they tried to bury. Psalm 139:13-14 says, "For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I am fearfully and wonderfully made." That includes the emotions you were shamed for. That includes the voice you were told to silence. That includes the tenderness you were told was weakness. You weren't made wrong. You were made on purpose, with purpose, for purpose. And God is not about to let what they did to you define who you get to be. Because some of the pain you carry didn't just pierce your heart, it stole your sense of identity. It made you question your worth. It made you second guess your gifts. It made you unsure if there's still room for you in the world. And the answer is, there always was. But first God had to let the false layers fall so the real you could rise. And I get it. It's hard to come back to life after a season of emotional shutdown. It's hard to speak when your voice was punished. It's hard to hope again after disappointment stacked itself like bricks on your chest. But that's why this isn't just about motivation. It's about restoration. You're not being forced to be strong. You're being invited to be seen, and not the perfect version of you, not the masked version, but the raw, honest, healing version, the one God loves so deeply, He sent this very message to find. Because He's not offended by your questions. He's not surprised by your struggles. He's not keeping score of how long it's taken you to recover. In fact, He's been beside you in every step of the silence, and He's whispering now. You don't have to pretend anymore. I know what they did, and I'm undoing every lie they left in your soul. Maybe they told you that your emotions were too much. Maybe they made you feel replaceable. Maybe they walked away like you didn't matter. And maybe, just maybe, you started believing it. But hear me, what they said is not your truth. What they did is not your future. The God who spoke galaxies into existence is also the God who is now reintroducing you to yourself. Not the version shaped by pain, but the one restored by purpose. The one who still believes, the one who still dreams, the one who still has a sound that breaks chains and a story that heals hearts. And yes, healing takes time, but you're not running out of it. You're right on schedule for the restoration that heaven is unfolding in your life. Isaiah 43:19 says, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" God isn't just putting a bandage on your wounds. He's giving you a brand new blueprint. One that doesn't include shame. One that doesn't include fear of being abandoned again. One that no longer hides your brilliance just to make others comfortable. God is undoing every moment you thought you had to become someone else in order to be loved. Because the real you, the healing you, is the one He's after, the one that rises in grace, the one that speaks in truth, the one that walks boldly in the fullness of who God created you to be. So today, let that voice in you rise again, the one you shut down to survive. Let it whisper, "I'm still here. I still matter. I still have purpose." And let heaven remind you that what they tried to silence, God is now amplifying. What they tried to distort, God is now defining. What they tried to break, God is rebuilding. Not so you can go back to who you were before, but so you can become who you were born to be. That's the kind of undoing He's doing. Not just restoring what they damaged, but releasing what they couldn't destroy. You are not too far gone. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are becoming whole right now. And this word is your sign. God is undoing what they did to you. And you will not leave this season the same. There comes a moment in your healing when you realize you're no longer trying to get even. You're just trying to get free. That's where you are now. And that's where God steps in. Not just as a comforter, but as a restorer. Because some of the deepest wounds weren't physical. They were emotional betrayals that rewired how you viewed trust, how you measured love, how you defined safety. You never saw it coming, did you? You thought they were for you. You thought they loved you. You thought they'd never do that. But they did. And now here you are, not bitter, but broken. Not loud about your pain, but quietly limping through life with a heart that feels stitched together by thread. But this is the moment where God speaks directly to that hidden place and says, "I saw what they did. I watched how you kept showing love even after being hurt. And now I'm going to repay you, not with vengeance, but with restoration. I'm going to replace the betrayal with blessing. You didn't lose because you loved. You didn't lose because you trusted. You didn't lose because you believed in them. You lost when they decided to misuse your heart. But that's not your identity. That's not the end of your story." Isaiah 61:7 says, "Instead of your shame, you will receive a double portion. And instead of disgrace, you will rejoice in your inheritance." That's not just poetic. That's prophetic. God has not forgotten the betrayal, and He is not ignoring the ache. He is simply choosing to respond to it with something better than revenge, with redemption. And I need you to hear this in your spirit. You will not end where they left you. You will not settle where they dropped you. You will not identify with the season that tried to destroy your softness. Here's what's happening now. God is not only removing the residue of betrayal from your heart, but He's also preparing new relationships, new doors, and new blessings that won't repeat the pain of your past. You've been asking, will I ever feel safe again? Yes, you will, Will I ever be loved the right way again? Yes, you will. Will someone ever see me, choose me, stay with me? Yes. Because this betrayal did not change your value, it only changed your season. You're walking out of one that was filled with lies, losses, and left behinds, and stepping into one that's filled with truth, clarity, and divine alignment. But you had to go through this to recognize what not to settle for again. And I know you tried to keep it together. You gave them grace. You excused the patterns. You even prayed for them while they were wounding you. You wanted it to work so badly, you were willing to carry the emotional weight just to keep the peace. And that's where God whispers, honor your heart, but I never asked you to carry the damage they were never willing to heal. That's not love. That's survival. And now you're being called into something greater than survival. You're being called into freedom. You're not responsible for their inability to treat you right. You're only responsible for how you rise from it. Romans 12:19 says, do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath. But this isn't wrath for wrath's sake. It's a holy correction that clears your path. And in that clearing, God is setting a table for you, not so you can gloat, but so you can glow. He's not blessing you to be petty. He's blessing you to be whole. You're not being lifted just to prove them wrong. You're being lifted to prove God right about you. Because even with all they did to you, you still didn't let it make you cold. You still chose kindness. You still kept believing in love. And that kind of heart, God defends it. God restores it. God rebuilds it every single time. And let me tell you this, the blessing that's coming won't feel like a rebound. It'll feel like redemption. The love that's coming won't feel like punishment. It'll feel like a promise. The life you're walking into won't look like what broke you. It'll look like what heals you. God is not in the business of letting betrayal be the last chapter. He's rewriting this story. And you, yes you, will testify that what was meant for evil, God turned for good. Genesis 52:20. So today, breathe. You're not crazy for still feeling the sting of what they did, but you're also not cursed to carry it forever. The blessing is on the way. And not just any blessing, one designed specifically to undo the emotional chaos. Rebuild your sense of trust and remind you that you were never too much. They were just never equipped to handle you. Let the tears fall. Let your soul exhale. God is not only healing you, He's honoring you. He's restoring what was stolen, and He's replacing the betrayal with blessing. There are some storms that come to reveal strength, not weakness. And there are some betrayals that don't just bruise, they break you. But what if I told you that the very thing that tried to destroy you is what God is now using to deliver you into destiny? That what they did, the pain they caused, the trauma they triggered, is now being reshaped by heaven into something that builds you instead of breaking you. See, that's what the enemy always gets wrong. He thinks if he hits you hard enough, you'll quit. If he hurts you deep enough, you'll shut down. If he poisons you with enough betrayal, you'll walk away from your purpose. But God steps in and flips it all. Because in the kingdom of heaven, nothing is wasted. Not the tears, not the years, not even the wreckage. And today, God is saying, I'm using it all, even this, especially this. You didn't ask for the pain. You didn't sign up for the betrayal. You didn't expect the rejection. You were walking with pure intentions, open heart, trusting steps, and out of nowhere, life hit you with a wound you didn't see coming. And for a moment, maybe for months, maybe for years, You thought it was going to take you out. But you're still here. And that's not by accident. That's by assignment. Because God has a way of letting the pain dig deep so that your purpose can rise even deeper. You were never broken just to be broken. You were broken so that something greater could emerge. And now that greater thing is coming forth. Not because you figured everything out, but because God never left your side while you were bleeding. Romans 8:28 reminds us, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. All things, not just the beautiful parts, not just the highlight reels, but the nights you couldn't sleep, the days you couldn't breathe, the silence that screamed louder than any argument. God saw it all, and He's repurposing it all. The betrayal that almost made you give up on people, He's using it to deepen your discernment. The heartbreak that almost made you lose faith, He's using it to strengthen your spiritual muscle. The rejection that tried to crush you, He's using it to lift you higher than you've ever been. Because here's the truth. Sometimes purpose is hidden inside pain. Not because God is cruel, but because He knows how to draw power from the places you thought were destroyed. And the people who broke you, they never had the final say. They were just pawns in a bigger plan, a plan to awaken you, to strip off what no longer served your calling, to lead you out of the shallow and into the deep. This isn't just healing. This is refining. You are coming out of this sharper, wiser, clearer, and closer to God than ever before. 2 Corinthians 4:17 says, "For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." Let that settle in your soul. What you suffered isn't just pain, it's producing something. It's producing strength. It's producing depth. It's producing testimony. And when you tell your story, and you will, it won't sound like shame. It will sound like power. It will sound like a song sung from the other side of the storm, a melody born out of fire. And when people hear it, they won't just hear what happened to you, they'll hear who carried you through. This is how God works. He doesn't just pull you out, He pulls you up. He doesn't just rescue you, He repositions you. And the very thing that tried to bury you becomes the platform He uses to bless others through you. The scar becomes your sermon. The tears become your oil. The betrayal becomes the open door. And no, it won't make sense to everyone. That's okay. Some people will only ever know the version of you that was in pain, but you'll know. The version that rose anyway, that walked in purpose anyway, that didn't need an apology to keep moving, that didn't wait for closure to step into calling. You are not stuck in what they did. You are being shaped by it, but not into a bitter, hard, defensive version of yourself. You are being shaped into someone strong, healed, and holy. Someone who can walk into any room and carry peace. Someone who can love again, not because everyone is trustworthy, but because you are whole. Someone who can set boundaries without shame, speak truth without fear, stand tall without needing anyone's permission. That's what's being birthed. In this season, not survival strategy, not just healing authority, not just recovery, purpose. So yes, what they did hurt. Yes, it was unfair. Yes, it left a mark. But that mark is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your ministry. And as God continues to undo what they did, He is also rebuilding you into someone they never imagined you'd become. Unshakable, unstoppable, undeniably chosen. This is what it looks like when the pain turns prophetic. Let this word sit in your spirit. God is not done with you. He's just getting started. And what was meant to destroy you, It's about to deliver you into purpose, into clarity, into peace, into you. Some wounds are louder than words. Some betrayals don't echo through arguments, they echo through silence. And one of the most dangerous things the enemy ever did to you was try to make you mute your truth. Somewhere in the process of surviving, you started shrinking. You started whispering where you once used to speak boldly. You started second-guessing yourself. You started wondering if your voice even mattered. You started walking on emotional eggshells. Because when people continually minimize you, shut you down, or twist your words, you eventually start doing it to yourself. But hear me today, with every ounce of prophetic fire, God is restoring the voice they tried to silence. Not the voice that has to scream to be heard. Not the voice that fights to be understood. But the voice that speaks with heaven's clarity and doesn't shake under pressure. The voice that doesn't need validation to be powerful. The voice that has been redeemed, because when you are wounded deeply enough, especially by those close to you, it's not just your trust that gets fractured, it's your self-perception. You start questioning, was I wrong to speak up? Was I too much? Should I have stayed quiet? And that inner dialogue becomes a prison. But God is breaking that prison open. He's not just healing your confidence, He's restoring your clarity. And what once had you doubting yourself, you're about to stand up and say, no, I wasn't too much. I was just surrounded by people who weren't ready for my calling. Jeremiah 1-9 says, "Then the Lord reached out His hand and touched my mouth and said to me, I have put my words in your mouth." This is the same God who is reaching for you right now. Not to give you someone else's voice, but to return yours to you. Your voice, the one shaped by survival, but refined by heaven. Your voice, the one that still trembles, but speaks anyway. Your voice, the one that doesn't sound like shame anymore, but strength. You see, this isn't just about learning how to speak again. It's about learning that you were never wrong to speak in the first place. They just didn't have ears to hear you. But God does, and He's turning your whispers into weapons. Because some of you were silenced early. As children, in relationships, in churches, you were told to be quiet when you cried. You were told not to make a scene. You were told to sit down, shut up, and stay small. And over time, that suppression became your personality. You smiled through silence. You apologized for things that weren't your fault. You disappeared in rooms you were called to lead. But now, that ends, because this is the season where God is breaking the muzzle off your mouth and declaring, you will speak again. And this time, you will speak with fire. You don't owe anyone an apology for healing. You don't owe anyone comfort at the expense of your truth. You don't have to water down your testimony to protect their narrative. You've walked through fire and you survived. That makes your voice not only necessary, it makes it dangerous to the lies that once tried to drown you. And you will not be silenced again. Not by guilt, not by fear, not by shame, not by culture, not by old mindsets, not even by your own insecurities. Because God is not just giving you a platform, He's giving you a revelation. And the truth is, your voice is a weapon in the kingdom. And when you speak what heaven downloads into you, chains break. Proverbs 18:21 says, "The tongue has the power of life and death, so no more letting others define you. No more sitting in rooms where your voice is only welcome when it's convenient. No more playing small to make others feel big. Your voice was made for such a time as this. Your story was made to set captives free. And your pain wasn't pointless, it was preparation. Preparation for the platform God is about to give you. Not so you can clap back, but so you can speak life, speak healing, speak freedom, speak identity, speak truth, because they tried to make you a background character in your own story. But God is bringing you to the forefront, not for applause, but for assignment. You're not speaking to be heard. You're speaking to shift atmospheres. You're speaking to pull others out of the dark. You're speaking to remind someone, if God could restore me, He can restore you. And your voice, the one that used to shake with fear, is about to shake the room with fire. This is not about revenge. This is about resonance. What once echoed in your head as shame is now going to echo out of your mouth as power. And every lie that was spoken over you, every word curse, every attempt to belittle you into silence, God is reversing it, and He's amplifying your voice above the noise. He's opening your mouth like He did with Moses, like He did with Jeremiah, like He did with Esther, and He's saying, you were born for this. I put this voice in you. I put this message in you. Don't run from it, release it. So open your mouth again, write again, sing again, lead again, declare again. Not from a place of perfection, but from a place of prophetic power. God is restoring what they tried to erase. And your voice will no longer be an echo of your pain. It will be the sound of your healing.